Devil in a red dress. Call 911, I'm a killer. You know I hate to confess. Bang, bang, got my hand on the trigger. The devil in a red dress.
And welcome everybody to the finals for the pre-made Rampage right here on Risen. Today we got Rising Phoenix versus Don't Go Top. Now for all this, I am Ravishing Ravis, the most ravishing man on the internet. I will play by play and joined as always by my brother from another Vancouver mother. We got random minion caster who decided to turn it up with some VFX that I can't match. I don't know if you could tell. I'm dressed up as Budget Golden Boy. I am who I am, but honestly, that's just me every day. Meaning, Caster, who are you supposed to be like a doctor? Like
I'm definitely not random minute caster, man. And I'm just here, man. I'm super hyped. I'm trying to show how hyped I am for this finals here. It's Halloween. It's already a great day. And what better than a finals to top things off here between Division 1 and Division 2? This is the fight we've been wanting all season long here.
It most definitely has. Now, from what I've seen so far, you're the doctor, so it's like, so I'm assuming you're exactly what your parents wanted to be funny at the end, right? So like,
Well, one day of the year, man. One day they get one day.
immediately, because honestly, bro, because I know growing up in my South Asian household, these right here, it's like it was either doctor, lawyer, engineer, and the fourth option, which I'm the fourth option. I made it. But besides all that, speaking of making it, these two teams have made it the Folly the Top, especially with Don't Go Top Cinderella run coming right here, the Phoenix Rising. So can they stop the climb? And to go ahead and break all that down here, let's go ahead and look at some numbers, some stats here, because we smart today, baby. We got glasses on.
Yeah, and if we do look at the stats right off the bat, you can see how close they are in terms of a lot of their head-to-head overall matches here. Their regular season score 7-4 to 9-2. Rising Phoenix in that Division 2 here really dominated their division, and they did it quicker too. Less games played, higher game percentage wins as well. And it kind of speaks to the difficulty of the divisions. One of the things that quite a few people have mentioned is the fact that Division 1 looked like the tougher division on paper as well. So these stats kind of show that. And if we look at the next set of stats here, this is their individual game stats. And you can see right here that first of all, their game times aren't short. Both these teams run about 30 minutes in their game times, but Don't Go Top is a little quicker here in terms of how quickly they close or lose out games, depending on how it goes. But when you look at kills, when you look at assists, when you look at KD, Rising Phoenix has them beat. But I want to point out one thing as well. Average deaths are higher for Rising Phoenix. So you can see Rising Phoenix likes to brawl, and sometimes it doesn't end up so well for them here. And if we go to the last set of stats as well, this is where things kind of break down to nitty gritty. And you can see that Rising Phoenix right here, you know, they seem to be better at the macro. They manage to generate more gold for themselves. Part of that off the fights, the kills that they have, but they have higher first blood, higher Drake percentages as well. So when you look at all the stats, it seems to be all Rising Phoenix so far.
Yeah, most definitely does. And honestly, that's a lot of it due to, like we were saying before, they stayed at the top of their division for a very, very long time, only dropping 2 games, which you already saw. And honestly, those 2 games that we even those seem questionable whether or not they really did deserve to lose, though they seem out of sorts. But the question we've been asking for ourselves is, has Rising Phoenix really been tested? Have they really been pushed to the limits? On the other hand, DGT, they climb back all the way from the bottom, making it to the top, right? With a well-dressed Cinderella run, somehow making it here. But now that we are at the finals here, does DGT have what it takes? Can they take down these absolute superstars? And Austin Minicaster, that's what we want to go ahead and break down as we will jump right into Pro Draft.
Yeah, and you know, speaking of that Cinderella run, that's the reason why these stats here have not really been, are not necessarily the best indicator of how this series is going to go, because DGT's defied all the odds here. Don't Go Top have found win after win against teams which are on paper statistically better than them as well. And we are going to have Rising Phoenix, because they're the higher seed. They do get side selection. They start with the blue side here, and we're going to start seeing the bans come out it's going to be the Syndra ban coming out right away against Don't Go Top. And I need to point out, Don't Go Top's mid laner for this game is going to be Efron. He is a substitute. It's not going to be their usual starter, Wilderness, either. So we'll have to see how that plays out here in the actual game.
Yeah, that's the huge question mark we've seen before. Right now, with Efron subbing in, this is going to be interesting for themselves, especially because Efron has subbed in before, like we were mentioning, but instead in that jungle role. So what will this do to the overall team composition and how they play their lanes? Because Don't Go Top, we know them to have a pretty strong bottom, but also one of the strongest points is controlling the top side, especially with Sever there as well. And Sever's picks have been a little bit back and forth, but also considering the set pick is what I'd love to see out of him. He's more solo carried on that, but there's the Mundo coming in for Rising Phoenix, and that's no surprise there.
No, definitely not. And one thing we should note about Rising Phoenix, let's look at the bans that got thrown against them first. Lulu, Karma, Victor. It's not two supports and a mid laner. All three of those bans are targeted at the mid laner here of Rising Phoenix, Ratatoskr, who does like to play that supportive mid lane style with the Lulu, with the Karma as well. And the Dr. Mundo as well. Again, not something we commonly see in the current meta, but that is Mogcaw's most played champion in the top lane as well. And you spoke about the set for Sever. That's potential here. We do see a set locked in. And honestly, if it goes to the top lane, it would make so much sense because Dr. Mundo is a tank and Set is one of the best tank killers in the game right now.
He most definitely is a fantastic pick overall, as you can even hear the dog outside getting hypey and excited because he knows he's down for it. He's with it too. This match is what he's been waiting for ever since I gave him the treat downstairs. But don't you worry, buddy. I'm gonna get you real soon. This match could be hypey. I promise you. Because we were also talking about, aside from the set pick, the Kai'Sa pick too, as they're coming from Don't Go Top. For unknown. It's one that he hasn't played a ton. He's mostly been on the Ashe, the Jhin, and the Kate, but it is part of his champion pool, right? Now the Kai'Sa, we know to be very much a hyper carry, and it plus coming in with that mixed damage as well. I'm very interested to see how they focus in on that. But the rest of the picks are matched by the brand Senna. If this is the brand bot lane, this is going to be insane, quite hard for the go top and matched by the Orianna in the mid likely.
Yeah, and I like the fact that they picked the Orianna here quite early for the side of Don't Go Top. That could potentially be a brand mid. Ratatosk's champion pool is kind of odd, and I'm not really seeing the brand on any of the players here, Ratatoskr or Major Zeo. So don't know whether it's flexing support or mid right now. Did get, I believe, a little bit of a buff as well on this patch, that brand for specifically, I think it was more for support here. So is a solid pickup as well, and will be really aggressive in either lane. And the Kai'Sa, we haven't seen a known play it in Risen, but he does play it a lot in solo queue. So we'll definitely be comfortable with it. And we're seeing a jungle pinch coming out, I think, because we haven't seen really junglers come out. Might be flexed the set into the jungle. So it certainly benefits the side of Don't Go Top if they do run up junglers here.
Yeah, honestly, at this point, the set is still very much a triple plex for myself. That being the top, the jungle, and even the support option is there. But with the Hecarim blocking for Don't Go Top, so immediately set jungle no more. So still set top or set support. But I like the Hecarim pick from Don't Go Top. We've seen it a lot before, especially from the Lil Dizzy. He loves the Hecarim. It's his most played champion so far in Risen. So comfort picks all around.
Yeah, definitely here. And interestingly enough, I think they might actually be saving the support pick for last for Don't Go Top here, potentially for St. Millet. That would be a departure from what they normally do. Normally, they pick St. Millet's support champions early, whether it be the likes of the Maokai, the Swain, or even the Shen here. But this time, they're considering it, leaving it a bit late. That'd be an interesting decision. Or like you said, it could be that triple flex set going into the support role. Would also do pretty well into the Braum, though set does struggle a little bit into Senna, and it will be the Volley Bear locked in. So we're seeing the complete composition from the side of Rising Phoenix. It will be the brand mid instead of the bot lane brand. So very sort of tanky front line here. Not a lot of sustained damage, but hell of a lot of burst coming out with the brand in the center.
Absolutely fantastic so far for themselves, especially with the Senna too. If she's able to go ahead and actually farm quite easily in lane, and depending on how much priority she has, how many souls she gets, that's gonna be the other question for me. But the final lock in for Don't Go Top will be the Ahri. Now this
Oh, it's a
is
Soraka. They screwed up.
Oh,
It's a Soraka. Thank
okay.
goodness for that.
Okay, I was about to really start questioning those things here. I was like, are you sure about that, buddy? Like,
Yeah,
but
same.
not even. No, sorry, we're gonna get here another
Oh, what?
correction. It's a Maokai. It is not the Soraka. It is the Maokai. So that is definitely the Maokai support for Don't Go Top. So and which honestly, Minicaster, I feel like we've seen this exact composition from DGT much long before.
Yeah, it was back in the semifinals. We saw something very similar. Sorry, the quarterfinals, I mean, pardon me, with
Yeah.
the set top Hecarim jungle, and it was the Maokai support as well. The only difference was back then, it was a Zoe mid instead of an Orianna mid, and a Senna ADC instead of the Kaisa ADC. But frankly, the composition is going to operate in a very similar way. Instead of the pick potential of the Zoe, instead you've got a ton of team fight potential coming out from the Orianna as well. So Don't Go Top, a very standard composition in a way here. Whereas you look over at Rising Phoenix, their composition is actually, don't be fooled by the weird picks we're seeing. We don't see a lot of Dr. Mendo. We don't see a lot of Brand. Braum right now, we see a little bit of him, not as much as we used to. But when you look at what it is they want to do, it's the same as ever. You've got a tanky bruiser in the top lane here. You've got a defensive tanky support as well. You want to peel back, you want to poke, and you want to go for those big sort of team fights here where your brand's pyroclasm can just bounce from person to person. You got a bit of fire, you get a bit of ice, you got the glacial fissure coming across, just disrupting everybody as well. So they both want to kind of do the same thing here. So I think a lot of it will be coming down to their individual specific lane matchups.
Like you said, especially do the recent Brand buffs as well. The Brand is able to go ahead and bounce it off of himself too. Like it's like it is going to be really interesting for me at this point with how the Brand plays. That's going to be what a lot of my question marks do exist as well. Because off on the side of Rising Phoenix, they have fantastic scaling options like you were mentioning already. The dive too with that Volley Bear. So I'm really excited for that. But because honestly, Volley Bear, I find ever since a couple of touches that he's had, we don't necessarily see him a ton in the jungle, more to the top side now. But I still think he offers so much as just in terms of gank setup potential, and when you just want to go HAM, hard as a mother hugger, one might say, just immediately disable towers and be able to just stop whatever they're doing for themselves. But with all these picks going to go ahead and locked in now, your Minicaster, I see you were questioning something. Tell me what's on your mind.
Well, it's not so much a question. I'm just trying to think about how the individual lanes match up a little bit here, because that Braum is actually a major pick for the side of Rising Phoenix here. Can soak a lot of the damage in the bot lane. And I'm just thinking in the team fights as well, when that Orianna ball goes in, you can actually block it with the Unbreakable as well. So I'm just curious if Don't Go Top is going to be comfortable enough, familiar enough, running into sort of all these interesting, unusual, unorthodox picks coming out from the side of Rising Phoenix. And that bot lane catches my eye because, like you said, skilling. Senna skills infinitely here. So you generally want to try and punish the Senna in the early to mid game, especially in the mid game when she builds that mana immune. She has a bit of a power trough while she's stacking it. And Kaisa Maokai, the Maokai for St. Melee, I think it's the most played support champion there for St. Melee, and should do fairly decently into the Braum, but I don't know if he can actually reach the Senna. And if they can't reach the Senna, there's not a lot of point punishing that Braum, who will be nice and healthy there. So looking at the junglers, I want to see Lil Dizzy. I want to see Hefty Hedgehog, both of them very aggressive junglers, applying pressure into this bot lane here.
Definitely so. Now you were also talking about what the competitors want to do, looking at the overall lane matchups as well. Now, one thing I am going to be looking forward to as well. Now with that Volley Bear, looking across all of these lanes, he does have pretty decent gank setup depending on how active he is. Based upon the early to that mid game, with the Brand, you have the potential to stun. But if you land that skill shot too, which can be a little bit tricky, so that can be there. But with the Senna, with the Senna along with the Braum, absolutely fantastic. They're going to be able to go and stack the passive and the slow you have with the heal. The roots there, along with a double root too, which is good. Plus, Senna's Q also procs Braum passive, which is obviously dope. And Mundo on the top side, I thought he won't need a ton of help, especially because of Mundo, man. You just go ahead and slow you farm with Cleaver, and they get too close, just run away pre-6. what are you really gonna do, right? Chase after you, you're a Mundo, you're fine. That's really how I see at the end of the day. But any final thoughts, you cast before we head into break?
One warning for go top here. They have to be ready for the dive. When you see the Mundo, when you see the Volibear, when you see the Senna as well, Mundo able to dive turrets with impunity. Once he's past 6, has the ultimate unlocked, he can heal himself back up. And with Hefty Hedgehog on the Volibear, they can always reset that turret, or not reset, pardon me, stop the turret to enable the dive as well. And with the Dawning Shadows from anywhere on the map, you have to be careful. No lane is safe when you've got Hefty Hedgehog on the Volibear, Mog Claw, diving your turrets. Don't Go Top has to be aware of that and not get baited into thinking there's safety under the turret. But besides that, it should be a huge matchup, lots of fighting. I'm very, very excited, eager to see this happen here.
Honestly, I am too here, man. Cash. With that all being said, as you take a short little break, as you load into game, you all do not want to go anywhere. As best of 5 is for all the marbles. This is it. We'll see you all back very, very shortly right here on Risen.